My lucky little Harley addicts. It turns out that I woke up early today because I've been doing the awesome podcast, and that's AEW awesome. Because if you haven't figured this out about me by now, I am kind of really a big pro wrestling fan. And I spend most of my time doing things that I want to do. So, if you want to catch up on some of my pro wrestling thoughts about AEW, including interviews with the world famous and legendary Joe Bob Briggs, the horror movie host. You guys know I'm also into horror movies too, along with Darcy the Mail Girl and Johnny Taylor, the comedian. So you can check that out on the awesome podcast. Just search for AEW Some Pod. You'll see the episodes with me, but that's only for real hardcore wrestling nerds. So, what I actually wanted to talk about today is ASMR. You might have heard it before as ASMR. I know you probably have your sound jocking up and down, which personally I fucking hate. So I will try to keep it consistent, except for sections, which I do ASMR noises. So, as always, what is ASMR? Oh, and I should mention that I'm also doing a video podcast, which you can watch on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Mistress Harley. So if you want to watch me talk about ASMR, you can do that online. But ASMR is a ASMR is an acronym for, let me click over on my tab, Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. Now, even if you're not sexually into ASMR, you've probably experienced this median response before because we've all heard a noise that makes us cringe. Maybe fingernails on the chalkboard, maybe that screechy, scratchy sound when two pieces of metal rub together. There's a noise that kind of makes everybody just, I don't like it. For me, it's when they use that like high pitched tinnitus noise in movies where a gunshot goes off next to someone's head and you hear that high pitched ee, and I fucking hate it. I actually wear earplugs to the movies to make it more of an enjoyable experience. Anyway, what happens in ASMR is that you experience a physical response to a noise. So, having described fingernails on the chalkboard, that's a pretty universal response. But for some people, it goes deeper than that. For some people, that response is almost as powerful as dragging a fingernail along the skin. It's almost as powerful as a physical touch. Have you ever heard a noise that's given you goosebumps? Have you ever listened to a voice that makes you respond in a way you didn't expect? So, what are some of these ASMR noises? Well, they range in the spectrum. So, on the horrible side, you have the screeching noise, the tinnitus noise, the fingernails on the chalkboard noise. But on the pleasurable side, you have silent, nearly quiet whispers. If my quiet whispering is making you have goosebumps, making your hair stand on end, then that's an ASMR response. Some people like the clickety-clackety noise of fingernails on a keyboard or fingernails like mine tapping. Does that tapping noise make you feel anything? When you go into an office full of secretaries, do you become aroused for reasons you maybe fully don't understand. What's important is that understanding that these noises can induce responses in people. ASMR is even used in advertising. When you hear someone bite into a crispy pickle or a big juicy burger, or you hear that crunch of lettuce and that squelchy meat noise, that's ASMR. Some people love that crunch. Some people love mouth noises. And on the other side of ASMR, if ASMR is a pleasure response, the opposite negative response is the hatred of certain noises. There's a word for it. It's called like simophobia or something. I could Google it. I guess I'll Google it. Okay, you guys, I Googled it and it's called misnophobia. Misophonia. Yeah, like miso soup and phonia, like don't call me on the fucking phonia. So, misophonia affects around 20% of people, according to the non-scholarly sources at Google. And some of the most commonly hated noises are mouth noises. And like open mouth chewing is a great example. If you chew your food with your mouth open with me at the table, I will fucking slap you. I can't tell you how many dates I went on with literal, beautiful, six-pack having millionaires who chewed with their mouth open at the table. And I was like, I will never fuck you. But some people eroticize those same mouth noises that other people hate. So if you hate mouth noises, you might want to fast forward by like a minute because I'm going to make some of those mouth noises. So lipping. I meant lip licking. Lip smacking. Kissy noises. How about just that like wet mouth noise that people make? I see that called tongue clicking when it's in the captions on TV, and too many people make that noise. I know I need to cut down on my Valley Girl likes, but I grew up in California, so what am I gonna do? But that noise in TV, like, why are you making that noise? Don't make the noise. But I guess some people really get off on it. And you guys have heard me talk about this before, if you are familiar with my podcast, that they include all of these weird fetishes on TV, and it's always the ones they can get away with, like Quentin Tarantino always putting Uma Thurman's toes in his movies. So if they can get away with like a little ASMR noise, if they can get away with adding like a little cleavage or a little foot shot, you know they will. But I encourage more fetishism on television. Fucking normalize that shit. It's not only perverts, everyone's a pervert. So, what is it about these ASMR noises? I guess that they get into a certain part of the brain. Whether you love them or have misophonia, it doesn't really matter. It's all acting on the same mechanism. Just like if you are sexually attracted to feet, it's working on the same mechanism as someone who's sexually attracted to big breasts or whatever feature. So, ASMR is just one of those little weird kinks that people have. And now I'm going to make some extended ASMR noises because I know that's why people clicked on this podcast. That's why you're watching the video. So I want you to relax. I want you to focus on my mouth, on what I'm doing with my tongue. Does that turn you on, consider this a little experiment. Have you ever considered that sounds might be so erotic that they can induce a physical response? That wouldn't be so strange. Everybody experiences emotional, sometimes physical responses to music, to certain words, certain turns of phrase, certain noises that trigger us. Religion uses it brutally to program you into having a pseudo-spiritual response when you hear certain keys, certain songs. Have you considered that all those songs and noises are marketing and brainwashing, just like everything else? Am I laughing at you? Am I laughing at how easy it is to program the human mind? The mind is fragile and weak, especially when it is aroused, especially when you're forced to focus on something that gives you pleasure. Audio, visual, touch. It doesn't matter which one of these senses are stimulated. What matters is knowing that the stimulation itself is something that you can't control. If you have any kind of fetishism, if you experience any kind of eroticism because of objects, sounds, colors, textures, even genders, one might consider that this is all a form of programming, a Pavlovian response in your brain, just like training a dog. Are you different than a dog? I'm not sure. Let's find out. So, consider that a little experiment. How did it make you feel? Did it arouse you? Did it bore you? Did it make you uncomfortable for some reason? I'm curious to know. So, tell me, how did a little ASMR experiment make you feel? Leave your comments on the YouTube video. You can always leave me a voice message on Spotify and anywhere you can find my podcast. As a reminder, you can find all my links at mistressharley.com. You can tweet at me or X at me at techdom. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Mistress Harley, and look for me on upcoming AEW awesome podcasts where I talk about wrestling compulsively and shame all the other wrestling fans too. I can't help myself. It's too much fun. See you next time, bitches.